Good afternoon. On behalf of the GMC Board of Trustees, members of the 145th Corps of Cadets, faculty and staff at Georgia Military College, I would like to welcome you to our ceremony, honoring the legacy of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. I'm Cadet Abigail Johnson, and I will be the narrator for this event. Georgia Military College extends a special welcome to the guests and dignitaries who have joined Lieutenant General and Mrs. Caldwell on this historic day. We'd like to recognize the members of our GMC Board of Trustees, Chairman George Hogan, the Mayor of Milledgeville, Mrs. Mary Parham Copeland, and members of GMC Foundation. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please stand, face the flag, and place your right hand on your heart as Cadet Alexis Waldrop leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Allow me to provide a brief history on Martin Luther King Day. It was officially observed as a national public holiday for the first time in 1986. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia. His father served as a pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, a church that had been founded by Martin Luther King Jr.'s maternal grandfather. He attended local public schools in Atlanta, where he excelled. He entered nearby Morehouse College at age 15 and graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology in 1948. Martin Luther King Jr. was ordained a Baptist minister at age 18. After graduating with honors from Kosser Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania in 1951, he attended Boston University and earned a doctoral degree in systematic theology in 1955. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is remembered as one of the principal leaders of the American Civil Rights Movement and as a prominent advocate of nonviolent protest. Dr. King's nonviolent challenges to segregation and racial discrimination in the 1950s and 60s helped convince many Americans to support the cause of civil rights in the United States. He was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. Even before he was assassinated in 1968, Dr. King was a worldwide symbol for the struggle towards universal racial equality and a symbol of hope for the oppressed. He was, in the fullest sense of words, a good man, and we honor his memory today with this ceremony. Dr. King once said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" The Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service is a part of the President's national call to service that calls for Americans from all walks of life to work together to provide solutions to our most pressing national problems. Today, we honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and all of the men and women who not only share his ideals, but act upon them daily. To paraphrase Dr. King, every person must decide whether to walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the principal of the GMC Prep School, Colonel Amy Lee.
Good afternoon and welcome to the inaugural ceremony in the Center of Leadership. We are so excited to have you here today and sharing with us our newest facility that not only is a physical space, but also embodies the character development in all of our students. Today is a significant moment as we gather in this center to continue our mission. The Center of Leadership serves as a place for our cadets to gather and learn from accomplished leaders, much like our speaker today. In the audience, we are very excited to proudly welcome members of our 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th battalions, standing united in the pursuit of excellence and character building. This is a momentous occasion as it is the beginning of many ceremonies and many speakers dedicated to instilling the core values of Georgia Military College into our students and the broader community. The Center of Leadership stands as a testament to our commitment to leadership development where future leaders are nurtured. Nikki Renfroe is our speaker today, and we are so excited to have her as our very first. She is a veteran of the Georgia State Patrol, where she proudly served until her retirement in 2022 after earning 30 years of service. In 2007, she obtained the rank of lieutenant, and in 2011, she was appointed to the rank of captain. This was a historic moment in the organization's history, as it marked the first time an African-American female had achieved that rank and the first time that a female had carried the title of troop commander. Captain Renfroe was raised by a strong, independent mother and grandmother who pushed her to her full potential. As a preteen growing up in Milledgeville, she made her own decision to attend GMC prep school. Her mother took on a second job to pay the tuition, but she believed it would be a good investment in her daughter's future. And it was here at GMC that her leadership qualities emerged in the JRTC program, and they prepared her for a lifetime of servanthood, teamwork, and leadership. Captain Renfroe is a graduate of Columbus State University, Georgia Law Enforcement Command College, and the FBI National Academy. She is the founder of the Nikki R. Renfroe Emerging Leader Prep School Scholarship that provides tuition assistance for minority high school students from single-parent homes. Please join me in welcoming Miss Nikki Renfroe.
Hey, GMC. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. To President Caldwell, thank you so much for the invitation. I see we have Chairman Hogan seated here. Good afternoon, sir. It's so nice to see you. Members of the board, to Principal Lee, faculty, staff, and this amazing student body, right? Right. I am both honored and humbled to stand before you and to have the opportunity to grace this stage. You have no idea what this means. This campus looks totally, totally different than it did in 1991, eons ago when I graduated. It is amazing just to see the energy on this campus. And so it's my honor to be here. I would like to also recognize if there are any elected officials here in the audience and attending. Thank you for being here. I can't leave out my sisters and brothers in blue, law enforcement. I see Chief Jackie Lee in the back, keeping your campus safe. That's right. It's nice to see you. Also, members of the community, as well as my family, my blood relatives, my mama and my cousins. I'm looking for you. I don't see you right in my face. Mama and my cousins, them. That's who that is. So thank you so much for being here. Your support just really means everything to me. Now, I was told somewhere, maybe I saw it on one or two banners, maybe I saw it etched in the ground as I walked around campus, that you guys have a certain slogan, a motto. What is that? Character above all. That's the one I was thinking about. You got another one too. What's the other one? Duty, honor, country. But let's talk about character above all. I love that one because that's the one that we should all be thinking about. It should all be ingrained in us as individuals, as a collective body, and as citizens. Now, bear with me for a moment here as we go to the dictionary. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines character as the complex of mental and ethical traits, marking and often individualizing a person, a group, or a nation. The word character derives from the Greek, which means I engrave. So character is something that is etched into us. You get it? It's etched into us by the experiences that we have as we go through life. So let's keep that in mind. Now, we've heard about Martin Luther King, and you just heard that he attended schools in Atlanta. Well, in 1947, while he was there, while a student at Morehouse in Atlanta, he wrote an article in the school newspaper entitled "The Purpose of Education." It's in this article's excerpt that we get a glimpse of what Dr. King thought about education, and perhaps maybe even what he would think about your motto, character above all. I don't know, we're going to see. Dr. King writes, "Education must enable a man to become more efficient, to achieve with increasing facility the legitimate goals of his life. Education must also train one for quick, resolute, and effective thinking. The function of education, therefore, is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. But education which stops with efficiency may prove the greatest menace to society. The most dangerous criminal may be the man gifted with reason, but with no morals." Dr. King goes on to say that we must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. I'll say it again. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. The complete education gives one not only power of concentration, but worthy objectives upon which to concentrate. So with that, I would conclude that Dr. King would be just fine with seeing your motto etched into the ground and hanging from the banners of this prestigious institution. Your very mission, that is to develop the student's intellect and character as authentic servant leaders, goes hand in hand with Dr. King's thoughts and with his teachings. So guess what? After almost 40 years later, after that article was written, this little skinny girl from Milledgeville, Georgia, she breached the front gate at Georgia Military College as an 8th grader. That little skinny girl was me. I came from the other side of the tracks, the other end on North Clark Street, where my grandmother and my mother and my family members raised me. That was me. And at that time, as a female attending GMC, you had a choice as a high school student. You could either attend the JROTC program as a cadet, or you could be a co-ed. Guess which one I chose? There you go. I chose to be a cadet. I was fascinated with the ROTC program. It didn't start when I got here, it started on my journey to here. I think you heard it read before that I was in the 7th grade and I decided that I wanted to attend GMC. At that time, I was in public school and I had a choice to make because the 8th grade was the first grade that you could enter into GMC. And so I made a plea to my mom. I did a whole presentation. We didn't have PowerPoint, but I did a whole presentation as to why I needed to attend GMC. I had 2 cousins, LaTanya and Reggie. Both of those cousins attended this school before I did. And I had a 3rd cousin, actually, who attended even farther back than that. But I had 2 cousins here, but that wasn't the reason I wanted to attend. I liked it because it was different. I knew that I would end up learning something different. I wanted my own path. And from that day until this one, I think it's easy to say that I continue to take my own path and I have my own mind. But my mom went for it. Now, think about this. My mom had a career in the prison system. She was a prison warden. So you got the kid of a single mom prison warden who's wanting to come to GMC. She's making her way up through the ranks at this time, and she has her career going. But at the same time, it was costly. It was very costly to come here for us. the tuition, the books, but she did take on that second job, nighttime security guard at the Holiday Inn, just so her baby girl could attend GMC. We didn't qualify for tuition assistance or whatever it was, so we had to get it how we got it, and that's what she did to get the money. But it was the support of these people sitting right here in front of me. Had it not been for them, I would not be standing here. I will never forget the sacrifices of people who were right there along with me. On a recent trip to Ghana, I was in Ghana, West Africa, a few weeks ago. Some of you may be familiar with the symbols, the Adinkra symbols that they use, and this is a bracelet that I'm wearing. I'm coming off of my notes here for a second. Sankofa, I don't know if anyone in this room is familiar with Sankofa and what it means. It's basically a bird that's flying forward, but he's looking backwards and he's reaching backwards. So what does that mean to us? As we continue to move forward, we can never forget where we came from, guys. That's the whole point. Reach back and help out, but you gotta keep going. You gotta keep pushing. Let that be your lesson. So I wear Sankofa on my wrist today in honor of what that symbol stands for. I had the opportunity to meet with your awesome students today, so many groups of students. When I tell you I'm so inspired right now, I feel like putting on one of those uniforms and just walking around and just telling people what to do. I'm pretty good at that, I'm told. But I am so inspired. They get it. They get it. We talked about those people. We talked about them giving back. We talked about them never forgetting who helped them along the way. That's really the message and the lesson. Not forgetting who helped you and also servanthood. But my experience here at GMC was awesome. It developed me into the leader that I am today. I credit this institution with all of my successes, and I feel like I've had quite a few successes. Some that the majority, you'll never read about, you'll never know about. It's somewhere back in some classified files somewhere from my law enforcement career. But I can tell you that it was this foundation right here that started it all. That, coupled with my mom and all of her lessons that she gave me, these are things that I'll never forget. She taught me, she would sit me and we would do mock interviews at home. Why are we doing this, Mama? I have no idea. She's an up-and-coming prison warden. This was stuff she was doing at work, so she would learn things at work and she would come home and bring it to me. When I got to GMC, they taught me how to further hone those interview skills. All of those things matter. Sometimes you don't think about it until years later. It's like, where did I get this from? You didn't get it by yourself. It took others to help you along the way. I think about it as being character under construction because, people talk about building character all the time. Why do they keep saying that you have to build character? That means you weren't born with it, right? So if we parallel that with building an actual structure, what's the first thing that we kind of need to start with in getting this structure shored up? Foundation. I heard it somewhere. So every physical building, right, you're going to need that firm foundation to support everything else. So if you think about character building, that's going to be the same thing. My foundation, I just told you what it was. My foundation was my family, my support system. My foundation is my faith and belief in God. I have to have that in order to function. I don't do anything without exercising my belief and communicating with God. That is my firm foundation. When you build a physical building, you're going to have things such as various building materials like concrete and wood and bricks. So if we equate that to character building, I would say those materials are life's experiences, the highs, the lows, the triumphs, right? The challenges, but it's needed. You don't think it's needed at the time because it's so tough. But I promise you, in the end, you're going to be better for it. In order for a physical building to be completed, it goes through a construction process. So process is needed as well. Each phase of the building process will take time and effort to complete. Don't you think that it takes time and effort to build your character? It's not going to happen overnight, guys. I know it was dizzying to me as I met with these students, and they were explaining what their schedules look like. And that was just at school, and then all of the extracurricular things that they do at home and at church. I'm like, good grief. I can't even keep up with 1 or 2 things a day. How on earth are you guys getting this done? But it's a process, and it will take time. Now, there's one important component in this example that I failed to mention, but I did that on purpose. It really would have been the very first step in the building process. So what did I leave out? Even before the foundation, what do? You plan. You plan. You plan. It's a blueprint, right? So what happened to the whole architect? We're building this thing. We don't even have any plans. We're just kind of willy-nilly doing it. We need a blueprint. We need a blueprint. Let's hear what Dr. King says about it. Kind of like referring back to him on his occasion, right? That's the least we could do. Dr. King wrote, or rather gave a speech called, "What is Your Life's Blueprint?" What is your life's blueprint? Here's an excerpt from it. As I close out my remarks for today, this speech was delivered, by the way, to a group of students. So if he had been here today, he would have been talking to you using these words. A junior high school in Philadelphia, October of 1967, that was his audience. Dr. King says, "I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is your life's blueprint?" Whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint, and that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide. And a building is not well erected without a good, solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in this process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has ultimate significance. Secondly, in your life's blueprint, you must have, as the basic principle, the determination to achieve excellence in your various fields of endeavor. You are going to be deciding, as the days and the years unfold, what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. Set out to do it well. And I say to you, my young friends, that doors are opening to you, doors of opportunity that were not open to your mothers and your fathers. And the great challenge facing you is to be ready to face these doors as they open. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great essayist, said in a lecture in 1871, "If a man can write a better book, or preach a better sermon, or make a better mousetrap than his neighbor, even if he builds his house in the woods, the world would make a beaten path to his door." This has not always been true, but it will become increasingly true, and so I would urge you to study hard. So burn the midnight oil. I would say to you, don't drop out of school. I understand all the sociological reasons, but I urge you that in spite of your economic plight, in spite of the situation that you're forced to live in, stay in school. And when you discover what you will be in your life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Don't just set out to do a good job. Set out to do such a good job that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. If it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep streets like Beethoven composed music. Sweep streets like Leontine Price sings before the Metropolitan Opera. Sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. Sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. If you can't be a pine at the top of a hill, be a scrub in the valley, but be the best little scrub on the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are. That was his speech, guys. And guess what? 6 months later, he was assassinated and killed. Just 6 months later. He was a man that pushed hard no matter what. Dr. King spent his life laser focused on serving others and fighting for justice. His selfless service was a part of his character, and his character was in continuous development. It never stopped. Yes, his character was under construction. And during the months before his death, Dr. King's ratings were sort of at an all-time low because some people thought that he needed to be more aggressive. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't violent. They didn't feel like he was making enough waves, and he knew that. And so you can hear in his other speeches the words that he's using. He knew that his days were numbered. He knew that people were out to get him. He knew that his support was waning in some ways. But did he stop? No, he didn't. It wasn't in his character to stop. He continued on because it's a process, and he committed himself to it. Every day you have an opportunity to work, develop, and build your character. But I feel like somebody in the room right now needs to hear this. All of the things that you're doing, I say keep going, go for it. But hear this, you don't have to have it all figured out right now. Some of it is gonna come later. It's okay. It's okay to take a little bit of a breather. It's okay. I'm in a room among high achievers here, and I love it because I can feel that energy. Like minds know like minds, and we love coming together. Iron sharpens iron. You've heard that time and time again, and it's so true. I've been sharpened today. These students have sharpened me today. Like never before, I am so honored to be a part of this family, to be a part of this body of students and this energy and the things that are happening here. I'm gonna wear your phone out, sir. I'm gonna say, how can I help? What can I do? What are we doing next? How can I volunteer? It means so much to me, and thank you to the board for the support that you give, your continuous support, for the donors. All of these things matter for these nice facilities. This is really something, not just for GMC, but for this entire Middle Georgia area. This is the place to be. And guys, guess what? You're already here. They're trying to get where you are, right? I am so honored to be here. I pray, it is my prayer, that someone was encouraged today as we interacted, because I know I was. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you, GMC.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cadet Colonel Khair Manlove, our regimental commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Sanaa Smith, our 1st Battalion commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Emma Kate Godine, our 2nd Battalion commander, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Webster, our 3rd Battalion commander, and Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Braden Whitson, our 4th Battalion commander, along with President Caldwell and Chairman of the GMC Board of Trustees, Mr. George Hogan, will present the Georgia Military College colors to Miss Nikki Renfroe. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as Cadet Avi Villarreal recites our cadet prayer.
Please bow your head and join me in prayer. Almighty God, General of all life's forces, Commander of nature, we praise thy holy name. Visit thy presence upon us and all former GMC cadets. Reinforce us in our quest for knowledge, integrity, and leadership. Instill in us humanitarianism and bless our enemy, whoever they might be. Extinguish from our daily lives greed and envy, and make us champions of right and ladies and gentlemen of honor. May we glorify thy name in victory and be courageous in defeat. Help us ever to think first of our comrades, and secondly of ourselves, and always of thee. Guide our footsteps and cleanse our minds. May we be first in the service of our country and first in thy service. Lead us, O Lord, that we might lead. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker, Miss Nikki Renfroe, will be available down front for a short time if anyone in the audience would like to meet her. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.